I received a phone call from an unknown number, and I was like, I don't answer unknown numbers. But then I listened to a voicemail, and it was a reporter from Women's Wear Daily, and she had seen my story, and she wanted permission to use the photos that I took. And I was like, absolutely. But I took this as an opportunity to speak with her and be like, hey, by the way, do you need a summer intern?
Oh my God, you're a genius.
Cronkite, they were trying to prepare us for everything. Like, you need to know how to write. You need to know how to take good photographs. You need to know how to edit videos. But that's to say that, it does not hurt. Just be bold, ask questions. The worst that can happen is you're told no.
For 2 decades, I've helped brands earn credibility through PR. Now I'm turning the mic on the storytellers themselves. I'm Melissa Dijon-Filippo, founder and CEO of Proof Publicity, and this is Off Deadline, the real stories of reporters, hosts, and media insiders beyond the byline. Hi, I'm Melissa Dijon-Filippo, and this is Off Deadline. My guest today is Christina Silvestri. She is the editor-in-chief of Arizona Foothills magazine. Christina is an Arizona native who built her career far from home, working in the arts and luxury world with global brands like Richmond and Sotheby's Auction House across New York and Europe. Now back in the Valley, she's the editor-in-chief of Arizona Foothills magazine, one of the state's oldest and most established lifestyle publications. She brings 15 years of experience in media and marketing. Welcome, Christina.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Thank you for having me. That was a fantastic introduction. I could not have asked for anything better.
Well, I'm glad it captured what you've done. And
absolutely.
I love when I get to interview people who I've been pitching forever. I feel like I've known you for a long time without actually knowing you.
Same.
And you've been a staple in the Valley. So if you don't mind, I like to first start with your backstory.
Yeah.
How did you get into journalism, and how did you land at Arizona Foothills? Take me through that path.
Yeah, great question. So like you mentioned, to all the viewers, I am born and raised in Arizona, Phoenix native. I went to Xavier for high school, went to ASU, Walter Cronkite School of Journalism for undergraduate and graduate. And from there, that's really where I dug my teeth into journalism. And Cronkite, they do a fantastic job of telling students to get out into the field, do internships, cut your teeth. At least when I was in school, the term was multimedia journalist. You're writing, you're getting used to taking photos, video editing, whatnot. So one of my internships was at Arizona Foothills magazine.
Oh, wow. So you started interning there a long time ago then.
Yes, this is a full circle moment.
What was the year-ish?
It was, you guys can do the math on this one, but it was around 2011.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was 20 years old for context.
Perfect.
So it's been a long journey, but I started out as an intern at the magazine and continued freelance writing through college. And once I graduated from ASU, I always was just so curious about kind of expanding my horizons. And that's when I moved out to New York City, and I started working within the marketing field within the larger arts and luxury sectors. I still work in marketing full-time. I'm a marketing executive for a large art supply company, but have always maintained that connection to Arizona and to Arizona Foothills on a freelance basis. And about 5 years ago, I took the helm as editor-in-chief of the magazine, which was truly full circle, like I said. Yeah. And I'm now back in the Valley full-time after living in New York and in Europe for 10 plus years. So just really excited to be back here and telling the stories about, people and places in Arizona.
Yeah. Well, you're doing a great job. Arizona Foothills, obviously a staple, has been through some turmoil, and it seems like it's in a really great spot as far as one of the longest running luxury lifestyle publications in the Valley. Really.
Yeah. We are actually celebrating 30 years.
Oh my gosh. Congratulations. That's huge.
It is huge. It's a huge moment. And, for some people, they might be like, 30 years, whatever. But, if you look at Arizona as
we're only, 115, 20 years old?
Exactly. It's incredible. The brand has staying power. People know it. People recognize it. I feel like this next chapter with new leadership, including myself, has been really positive. Our owner is also a native Arizonan and really passionate about supporting local businesses, local people, local community. So just continuing the path forward.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm so grateful that you're here. And really the goal is to get to know you. Who's this woman behind the byline, right?
Yeah.
So I want to know, what's the piece of your career that you're most proud of that maybe isn't on your resume or the About Us page on the website?
Yeah. Fantastic question. I think just really kind of connecting the dots between being connected to Arizona, just being a local native, and then having that experience outside of it, and just kind of understanding, how do other people live? What are their perspectives? And kind of bringing that back to the table here in Arizona with, telling local stories, but also having just kind of an outside perspective.
Yeah.
And, how can we support our local communities, but also bring in different, perspectives and businesses. And, people look at a lifestyle magazine like Arizona Foothills and like, it's fun. Maybe it's a little bit fluffy. Sure, it is. It's meant to be a positive place, something that you open and you relax or you get inspired.
Yeah, we need a break from the hard news sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. Go visit the next restaurant or the next business, go shopping. And I feel like the power in that is that really a lifestyle publication, a regional lifestyle publication like Arizona Foothills, it's truly like an economic driver for the state of Arizona. So for me, that's a lot of responsibility. I don't take that lightly. People are deciding where to spend their free time, where to spend their hard-earned money. So for me, that's really important to vet who we are profiling or what businesses and to support them in Arizona. I mean, that touches everything from small businesses to entrepreneurs to hospitality, tourism. Like it's a wide net that can be cast for that.
Yeah.
So,
oh, that's awesome. I love that perspective of like you feel a sense of responsibility when you're deciding what content goes in because we have limited time, limited resources, like spending money going out to restaurants or trying a new hotspot or hotel. And it's nice to know that you're really thinking about like curating a specific, type of place or experience for readers.
Curating is a great word for it because we don't want to just recommend anything. We always want to vet who we're profiling but in the end, always supporting small, but then also bringing in kind of an outside perspective. Like more and more people and businesses are opening and, living and doing work in the Valley, which is, I think, an amazing thing. That's how we grow. So just trying to, better understand, always keeping an ear to the ground of who is doing what and next and when, and, being connected to, public relations agencies like yours who represent fantastic clients. And, you keep us in the loop all the time. We appreciate that. So
thank you. And this is not a planned question, but I just think it's so important to understand like the world has changed so much with like content creators now and how we consume content and get news. And it feels like Arizona Foothills has done a really good job of like staying in the mix of that from like a digital perspective of bringing stories to life there. Has that been something you've been focused on or how has that come to life?
Yeah. I was really involved in digital from the start. That's shifted a bit. We now have a fantastic digital editor and an amazing social media manager as well. If you follow us on social, we have almost 500,000 Instagram followers.
That's so great, by the way.
It is fantastic. And, we do a really good job of being out on the town, just having a good mix of content, different places and businesses around town. And we're always all ears too. I love hearing and being in the loop from PR agencies like yours, but sometimes we have local business owners who they kind of cross that invisible fence sometimes and they contact us and we receive your messages. So please, shoot us an email, send us a DM. We see everything. So
that's really good to know. Because also like not every small business is ready for PR. It just sometimes it's not attainable quite yet. So to know that it's okay to like reach out directly and share an idea and that you're listening, that's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. So we just had like a local pizza place in the north part of the Valley reach out to us and they were sharing their backstory, how they were different, what they offer. And we're like, yeah, we'll cover you.
Awesome.
Thank you for bringing this to our attention. Local small family business. We love it.
I love to hear that. What's the story that still plays in your head when you can't sleep at night?
So going back to my school days, like I was saying that at Cronkite at ASU, they did a really good job of having us out in the field. And there's a kind of an agency within the school called Cronkite News Agency that touches broadcast, it touches print journalism, and also PR, and maybe other things nowadays that I'm not aware of. Right? I don't know. But I was on the print and the writing side, and we were doing a lot of hard news coverage, which is, very different from lifestyle. But that's really the foundational kind of training of writing. And in journalism, one of my beats was like more human interest stories. So I was actually just kind of like going down memory lane the other day, looking at my old stories that were published like in the Arizona Republic, the Tucson Sentinel and whatnot, and just interviewing like domestic violence survivors, veterans, people who went through really tough times and who were willing to go public and share their stories, not only through writing, but being photographed and being, interviewed on video. So that has kept me up at night, just thinking about those people specifically within our community. And with that, I've just kind of been thinking with forward editorial planning for Arizona Foothills, again, we're lifestyle, but kind of bringing back that human interest a little bit into the fold, in a delicate way that's still, bringing awareness to issues in our community that maybe others are facing that aren't so fun to talk about, but, whether it's affecting us directly or not, just how to do that. So stay tuned. That's
awesome.
Coming up.
And I love that you're thinking like, how do I keep this within the DNA of the magazine?
Yes.
But like that you want to find a way to bring those human stories, because people buy people. Like wrong word. People like want to hear people's stories. That's what's enticing to them. Even if it's a brand, a product, they want to know the human behind it.
Yeah.
So if you can find a way to like bring awareness to issues that happen, in our backyard, in a way that makes sense for the magazine, I love that.
Yeah, so stay tuned. I have a story plan. I don't want to spill the beans too much yet, but for our next print issue in the fall, for our home and design issue, maybe you can get where I'm going there with the theme.
Yes. Okay.
But yeah.
Love it.
Excited for that.
We will stay tuned for that. What's the phone call, email, DM, or conversation that occurred that split your career into a before and an after?
Yeah, I think that this one is a big one for sure. So while I was in college at ASU, again, I was out in the field interviewing, covering stories. And I remember I had come back from, I think it was around Scottsdale Quarter, Kierland area, like a store had just opened and I was covering it for Arizona Foothills, like shopping. And I took some photos of it to go along with my piece. And I was at school one day. I received a phone call from an unknown number. And I was like, I don't answer unknown numbers. But then I listened to a voicemail and it was a reporter from Women's Wear Daily. And she had seen my story and she wanted permission to use the photos that I took. And I was like, absolutely. But I took this as an opportunity to speak with her and be like, hey, by the way, do you need a summer intern?
Oh my God, you're a genius.
Yeah, I was a junior in college at that point, and just always just being so curious, always looking kind of outside of my bubble. I just knew that I wanted to, experience a different environment. And they were like, hey, you know what? We actually do need an editorial intern at Women's Wear Daily this summer in LA. And so, 2 months later, I was in LA covering stories. And that really opened the door for me, I believe, going to New York and elsewhere, because having that name on my resume connected to Condé Nast, and at that time, I think it was Fairchild Media, was huge.
Yeah. And are you naturally that person to take that bold step and ask that question, or is that hard for you?
It is hard for me, but I was like, I cannot pass up this opportunity.
No.
Like, I need to ask, Like, of course, you can have my photos. If it just stopped at there, I'd be more than happy, but it's worth the ask. The worst thing that's going to happen is I'm told no, sorry, right?
That is such a great lesson for anyone, of any age, I want to say, because I also believe it's never too late to do anything. I think you can restart anytime. But for younger people who are maybe stressed right now getting out of college, because AI is stressful and, the economy is kind of funky. Just to know, be a little bit bold, be out of your comfort zone, and just ask the question, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. I mean, when I was graduating, I remember, I was saying, Cronkite, they were trying to prepare us for everything. You need to know how to write. You need to know how to take good photographs. You need to know how to edit videos. And
because now every journalist has 5 jobs.
Yes. And they were even teaching us how to code. We were learning Python. I'm not joking.
I don't even know what that is, and I don't want to know. But
you don't want to know. Anyway, it's useless now because of AI. But, you have kind of, just that framework. But that's to say that, it does not hurt. Just be bold, ask questions. The worst that can happen is you're told no.
Yeah, I love that.
So.
Great reminder. What's the thing about you that your audience would be most surprised to learn?
I am naturally painfully shy.
Really?
I'm such an introvert.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That shocks me, actually.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah.
But when I'm in a groove, when I'm speaking with people, that I enjoy talking to, I'm at work doing what I love, I'm into it. One of my friends are like, you're always out and about covering things and going to the coolest events. And what do you mean, you're a homebody? I'm like, I really am. I need to, go back home and recharge my batteries with a glass of wine, sit in silence. But I truly do love what I do. So when it comes to connecting with people, doing work, I love it. But otherwise, yes, I am a shy introvert. I'm an introverted extrovert.
I say the same thing about myself, and not to steal your, but I get it. I when I'm on, it takes everything, and I love it. But then I need to be by myself, with my poodle,
yes,
quiet, with the show on,
exactly,
doing nothing.
Yes, that's how we recharge.
Yes. I asked you to bring a receipt. So I'm asking for some physical artifact from your life at any point in time that has a story attached to it.
Yeah.
What did you bring,
This
and can
is so
you
fun.
share it?
Okay. I don't know if the camera can see this, hopefully. Disposable camera. I don't have my original DSLR that I would tote around when I was in college, but this just reminds me of my early journalism and reporting days, just always catching the story, always being ready. I wish I had my tape recorder.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Remember those back in the day?
Yes.
Wow.
I think that's in a box somewhere, but this just reminds me of a nice reminder of my early reporting days and taking photos, and just how much, visual expression is also still so key to stories and how we tell stories. So
I love that. And what a flashback. Like, it's so interesting now. I see, because I have two girls who are teenagers or tweens, and they're really into like actual digital cameras again, or like that, and it's so funny to see it go full circle. Like, I wonder if there's going to be a piece of journalism that kind of goes back to that too. Who knows? I don't know.
Well, analog is trending now.
It totally is. Yeah. Awesome. I appreciate you bringing that.
Of course.
I'm going to ask you now some rapid fire questions, a little bit lighter. And your job is just to say the first thing that comes to mind, really. And if you have a story behind it, of course, we want to hear that too.
Okay, shoot.
What's your go-to ritual when a story is breaking, a post is going viral, and everything is on fire?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm like, oh my gosh, but stay calm. Take a breath, collect thoughts. What is happening? If, it's affecting more than just me, how can we collaborate as a team? How can we maintain the goal and the quality of our work? But then also on the flip side, what's the opportunity in this? What else can we do? It's not always, a negative thing perhaps. So it depends what the situation is, but just stay calm and then see where the opportunity is.
I love that. There is always an opportunity or a learning lesson in chaos.
Yes.
That's for sure. Like this black eye I got recently, like learning opportunity. Don't bend down when there's a 90-pound Doberman coming at you. What's your secret superpower? The thing that you do better than anyone else does in this line of business?
Well, that's a high bar for sure, because there's so many talented individuals. But I would say, at least for me, what keeps me steady is I am very detail oriented, very time sensitive, and I'm very demanding both with myself and the people I work with, and in a good way. Just like, what is, the bar that we're trying to reach? We can always do better. There's perfectionism is never a thing, but what can we do better next time? So
that's great. I feel that in my soul. That's a type A thing to say.
Yes, I am type A.
Yes, understood. What's on your bucket list that would genuinely surprise people?
I would hesitantly love to become a pilot.
Oh my gosh, I did not expect you to say that.
Yeah, I am increasingly, maybe with age and just interestingly with flying more, I've become more afraid of flying. But ever since I was little, I've always been curious about it. So now that I'm older, especially with this developing fear, I'm like, maybe to conquer the fear,
100%.
I should take flight lessons. So yeah.
I have a friend who in his 50s, before leading to 50, became a pilot just for fun.
That might be me. I'm inspired by that.
It's shocking to me. I am not interested in that, but I love the idea of conquering a fear, like of any kind, and making something positive out of something that's like a little bit traumatic.
Exactly.
Very cool. If you weren't doing this, what would you actually be doing right now?
Yeah, well, I am a huge animal welfare advocate, and you might see a little bit of that in the magazine. We have a really strong partnership with the Arizona Humane Society. Every week we highlight a pet of the week online, and we do whatever we can to help smaller rescue organizations that are doing great work, like Sky Rescue, Heidi's Village. There's so many others.
Great,
I feel like if I had more time, hopefully one day I would be more involved, especially with like local kind of rescue organizations.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. We represent Pro Bono Love Pup Foundation. And they do such a great job. Like in general of like keeping dogs out of shelters.
Yeah. They do an excellent job.
But there's a lot. We're lucky in Arizona. We have a lot of great organizations like that.
We do.
What's the piece of advice you'd give your first year self, the honest version, not the LinkedIn version?
Yeah. Move forward, ask for forgiveness later. And I still tell myself this to this day, especially now, I've always been very intuitive with my gut feeling, and now just having experience under my belt, more than likely what I want to do or what I feel is the right direction is correct.
Yeah.
Instead of, feeling hesitant or maybe waiting for a host of approvals, just do it. See what happens. I mean, within reason, but Yeah,
Just get it out there.
Yeah, let's just get it out there, see what happens. So
Awesome. What do you want people to know about you, and how can they find you and follow you on socials?
yeah, I am just super passionate about what I do, always open to stories, what people are up to, businesses, individuals in Arizona for Arizona Foothills magazine. So you can find me through the magazine. My email's online or on Instagram at CKSILVES. Always open to hear story pitches. So
Awesome. It was such a pleasure to have you. Thank you for taking your time
Thank you so
to be
much.
here, Christina. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Melissa.
Yeah.